Yo, what is up guys? Grim here. So today's video is going to be about Shaper and Elder Influence and kind of how they work and a few kind of interesting points, but also how to anchor your Elder Influence next to the map you want to run so you can get a lot of kind of massive gains from the unique sextant kind of ish modifiers that they give you. So we're going to dive straight in there and we're going to find out how to make it work. So to begin with, you need to pick a map on the atlas which you want to park an elder next to. So as you can see here on my atlas, I've chosen Infested Valley. For a lot of people, it's going to be Vault, or maybe it's going to be Channel for a lot of people. Basically, what you want to do is just make sure that the Elder Influence is primarily on a map that you're going to be running most of the time. So if you're farming a channel, put it on channel. If you're farming Vault, make sure it's on Vault. If you're doing something else, like kind of what I do, make sure it's on whatever you're doing, basically. So basically, the reason for that is because every time Elder or Shaper Influence is on that map, it's gonna give you like a bonus Sextant modifier on there, and they're extremely powerful, way more powerful than any Sextant modifier currently in the game. It adds a ton of monsters, or it's going to add kind of a boss monster to the map. But generally, what you're after is the additional monsters. So for Elder, it's either going to be a ton of little squiddy guys, or it's going to be null portals, or it's going to be some other things. And for the Shaper, you can get star dudes, robot guys, or some other ones of those. So you're going to get a ton of extra monsters in your map, and it's going to be really good. So the rewards from kind of doing this is massive. So I would recommend that everyone does this, and you can kind of get a lot of massive amounts of map drops, currency gains, and all that kind of stuff from this. So now that we know what we're kind of getting out of it, how do we do it? So you've chosen your map, and basically what we're shooting for here is to get either an Elder Guardian or the Elder, one map adjacent to that. And by what I mean by that is you can see each map here is connected by a line. So let's say we wanted to get Elder Influence on Pier, we'd want to get an Elder Guardian on Arena or Pit because they're connected by one line. So it needs to be one line adjacent to the map that you're trying to run. So for Vault, that would be something like Ramparts or Armory. And for Channel, that would be something like Grotto or Excavation. So as long as it's one map adjacent, you're pretty much good to go, and you can get what's called the ping pong effect of Elder and Shaper influence going. So that's what we're shooting for, and that's what I'm kind of going to explain to you on how to get today. So let's get straight into that. There's a few things that we need to know for starters. So there's a few different atlas states that your atlas can kind of be in, and I'm going to show you kind of what those are. So what I've done here is I've got a bunch of images here of kind of different things that can happen on your atlas. So what I did is I wiped Elder off my atlas, and then I got him back on there, and I did like kind of step-by-step process of what it's going to look like and what I'm doing, and I'm going to run you through that in a second. But basically what you're going to have for the atlas states is Shaper only, which is going to look a little bit like this. As you can see, there's no Elder influence on the atlas. There's only Shaper. So that's going to be that. And then what you've got is what I call Fluid Elder, and you'll understand why I call it that in a second, where you've got Elder influence on the atlas, but there's no Elder Guardians, and there's no Elder yet kind of anchored on the atlas. And then the last one I've got here is Anchored Elder, and basically what that means is the Elder's kind of manifested itself on the Atlas. He's in a specific place, and he's not going to move from there until you kill him. So he's kind of anchored in that position. So that's basically what we're going to be going through and how to achieve each of these states and kind of work through them, and we'll get into that now. So there is one more thing that you guys need to know, and that is how to kind of manipulate the Atlas. So when you've got the Elder influence on there, you can do a few things to kind of move it around. And there's kind of three which we're going to go over here. There are a few other ones, but the main ones are these three. So what you can do is if there is a Shaper map next to an Elder map connected by a line, as you can see here, what we talked about before, if you run this Shaper map next to Elder, the Elder will 100% of the time take over that previously Shaper map, as long as they're next to each other. So if I run Fields, Elder will take over Fields and be on Fields. So with that rule in mind, you can kind of now expand the Elder influence in a direction that you want, with 100% certainty when there's Shaper influence next to the Elder influence. So that's going to be rule number one. Rule number two is if you complete an Elder map, Elder will be taken off it completely. And it will either be replaced with nothing, which means there'll be no influence, or it'll be replaced with shaper influence. We can see that if we complete a map like uh, Coral Ruins here, then we will get some shaper influence there, maybe, or nothing at all. Similarly, if we complete Infested Valley, it'll either have shaper influence or nothing at all. So you're probably thinking, why is this useful? Because this is how we're going to push Elder into the direction we want. So just remember that one and kind of how it works. The last one I have here is to run a map outside of the kind of war going on. So you're probably thinking, why is that even useful? The reason this is useful is because when you run any map on the Atlas, regardless if it has influence or not, there is a chance that it will impact the war going on wherever the Atlas is. So it's going to be called what the developers call as ticking the atlas. So whenever you tick the atlas, it has a chance for either the shaper to do something or the elder to do something, or both of them to do something. And in the examples coming up, you're going to see that quite clearly, and you'll kind of understand when you want to do that and when you don't want to do that. So now that we know how to kind of influence the atlas, I'm going to go over one more thing, and that is that the elder influence on the atlas must always all be connected. So think of it as a big blob or puddle, and if a bit gets chopped off, then it's gone. It's going to get deleted. And an example of that would be, obviously we can see the main blob of Elder is over here. If we did Peninsula here, all of this Elder up here, all that influence would be chopped off completely and deleted like instantaneously. So that's something you need to remember. And basically what I mean by that is if a map is connected by the lines and you only have one line and you complete the map here, Peninsula, which has that line, then everything else, which is also connected by lines but not connected to the elder kind of blob here, will be like gotten rid of. So that's really important to understand, especially when you're kind of trying to expand out. If you do a map inside, then you can completely lose a ton of progress. So just make sure you've got that in the back of your mind when you're kind of doing your kind of progression. Okay, so let's get into it. So here we have our first image where we've only got shaper influence on the atlas. So when you start out the atlas, you're going to see something like this. The other time you'll be seeing this is after you kill the elder. So after you kill the elder, all elder influence will be removed from the map, and you'll get a ton of shaper influence on the map. So when you're in this state and you want to get the elder to appear, all you have to do is just continually complete shaper influenced maps. So I've done this a few times now, and it's either going to take like 2 or sometimes 14. I've had it take 2 times, and I've had it take 14 times, and all of them in between. So it's just kind of RNG of when he seems to pop up. If there's any sort of deterministic way to do it, I'm not 100% sure of it. But yeah, I've just kind of kept doing shaper influence maps, and it's worked out for me in the end. And I've ended up getting kind of what I wanted as a result of that. So the next kind of image I want to show you here is after I got the Elder to spawn in. So after I kept doing those shaper maps, I got him to spawn in here. And it's going to look like this a lot of the time. Basically, you're going to get a few squares of Elder, and that's going to be really good. So when you're in this state and you've kind of moved from shaper only to fluid elder, you've got to really think of the blob as kind of something that you can push around, move around the atlas. So if you push it up here, it's going to move down there, kind of thing, and you'll kind of be able to think about it a lot easier. So right now, let's say we're going to go for Infested Valley, which is down here, and in the picture we have our elder influence up here. So ideally, we want to push that blob down to Infested Valley. And that's actually really simple to do. So if this was like a big blob of water, what you do is just come from down here and push it downwards. So to kind of emulate that in the game, all we have to do is delete this elder influence from up here, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So if we complete this peninsula map, Strand will no longer be elder because it won't be connected to the biggest blob anymore, and peninsula we just completed, so it'll no longer be elder either. So in this photo here, you can see that we did that. And Shaper decided to move in, but that's not too relevant because we're going down anyway. So that's kind of showing you here. And to further kind of push it down, what I'm going to do here is complete Canyon, which you can see here. And then finally, I'm going to complete Spider Layer as well. Now, a quick note is, let's say you didn't want to go for Infested Valley and your Elder's up here. You really want it over here, right? You don't want to have to push it all the way over there. So what you can do is, a general rule of thumb I have is, if you split up the atlas into kind of quarters, you want the Elder to be in the quarter where your map is. And if it's not, what you can do is a bit of a trick. If it's not, and you've kind of got the Elder on your map, if you systematically get rid of all the Elder maps, which you can do just by completing them in quick succession, the Elder will be completely wiped off the map again. You won't have to go through killing the Guardians all again or the Elder. He'll be just completely reset, and you'll be taken back to the Shaper only kind of phase of the Atlas. And then you just complete Shaper maps once again. Could take 2, could take 10, 20, I don't know, but some amount. And then you'll get Elder to spawn in again in a completely random location. So it's really important to note that when you're completing the Shaper maps, there doesn't seem to be any sort of process of, oh, complete a Shaper map over here and the Elder will spawn in. It just seems to be you complete a certain amount, which is unknown to me how many that is currently, and then the Elder is dumped somewhere on the Atlas. That's in my experiences at least. If anyone else has some different ones, make sure you post it in the comments below. So if you take the Elder off completely, you'll get another shot at putting him where you want. Back to our kind of example at hand here. So you can see I've completely pushed the Elder down into this kind of one map, and that's because I want him to go in a certain direction. I don't want him up here at all. I want him to go down to Infested Valley. So I've pushed him all the way down, but in this state, I don't really have anything left to do to expand the Elder influence, as you can see. In theory, I could complete Spider Layer again, but that's taking him upwards, which is I don't want to do. So there's no Shaper influence down here or around here. So what do I do in this situation? So if we go back to the Google Docs, which I have here, remember we have 3 options here. So currently we've been completing an Elder map, and we've been doing a Shaper map as well sometimes. But the third option here is what we want to be doing now. Run a map outside the Elder influence. So when we do that, as I said before, it's basically like rolling the dice. The Elder and Shaper both get a chance to do whatever they want without us interfering at all. Sometimes they'll do nothing, sometimes they'll do a hell of a lot, and we'll kind of get to see the results. So the first map I complete here, nothing happens at all. But the second map I complete here, you can see Shaper has kind of backed off a bit, and the Elder has moved on to this map here, which is currently not completed in this video, but that's not too relevant. So the Elder's moved down here, and we can see he's getting closer to Infested Valley, which is our goal. So in this situation, we still don't really have any eligible maps to do. We don't want to move him up here, and no Shaper influence around at all for us to play with either. So whenever you're in a situation like this and you don't have any Shaper influence to kind of push it 100% in one direction, just run a really quick map to do. You can run a beach or an atoll or anything like that, and you can kind of clock over, roll the dice, see what happens on the Atlas. So I do that again here, and Shaper steals my thicket, and Elder moves into Jungle Valley. So in this situation, I still want him on Thicket, and Shaper's there now. So when I do Thicket, I'm going to get Elder to go back there, because it's a 100% chance when Shaper's next to Elder, and you complete that Shaper, that Elder will move into there. So that's really good. Again, we're kind of stuck, so we're going to do a speed map here to kind of roll the dice again. So we did that, and now we've got Coral Ruins. Again, nothing really we can do here, so another speed map for us. So this kind of updates the Atlas a little bit. We've got Infested Valley now with Elder, but Shaper's taken Jungle Valley. So now what we want to do is complete Jungle Valley to take that back, which we've done here. Shaper takes Thicket back again, so we have to do that one again. Here, now we've got all the maps we want, and again, we don't really have any options on how to expand our Elder influence currently. So what we're going to do is do some more speed mapping to kind of roll the dice continually. And we see here, Elder's kind of expanded his influence again. We've got a few maps now with Shaper influence on them, where we can kind of 100% guarantee that Elder influence spread. So we could do Plateau here, or we could do this Val City here, or we can choose to do another speed map if we wanted to, and we didn't like any of these options. But in this situation, I'd probably do Plateau to kind of expand it here, because remember, we want the Elder Guardian to be adjacent to Infested Valley in our example. So Plateau is the perfect map to potentially get Elder on. So we want to try and do that to make sure all the adjacent maps next to the map that you want to have Elder influence on are Elder. So we're going to complete Plateau here, and as you can see, the Elder got quite aggressive when we completed this one. You can see we've got only a bit of Elder here, and then a lot here. So after we did Plateau, Elder decided to also take Ivory Temple. So sometimes the Elder and Shaper will do things which are a little bit unpredictable. You just kind of got to roll with the punches, and if you didn't want him on Ivory Temple, you can cut him off there by doing the map, and then push him straight back up over there. So it's really just down to kind of pushing him like where you want him to do. Remember, it's kind of like water. You can push him anywhere around the atlas you want if you know what you're doing. You can just nudge him using the techniques we've learned so far in this video. So that's kind of how we're going along. Next up, I'd probably do Wastelands, which is what I do here. And we can see again, Elder's taken two maps. He's taken a red map over here as well as Wastelands. And in this situation, we don't have too many good maps. So you could either run like a speed map to kind of tick the atlas and kind of roll the dice, or you could do maybe Residence up here, or this map down here, Lighthouse. It looks like I do Residence up here, which is going to continually expand the Elder Influence. So our goal overall is to get a big blob of Elder Influence around the map we want. Preferably the map you want is at the center of this blob. However, Infested Valley is kind of on the edge of a lot of other maps, so it's kind of hard to get a blob around it. You kind of just want to get it in the general vicinity. But that's okay, it's all progressing quite nicely. At this rate, we'll have a pretty high chance of getting an Elder Guardian next to Infested Valley, which is what we're after. So you're just going to continue on your merry way, completing maps which have either shaper influence in the direction you want to push the Elder over there, or if the Elder's going too far off the kind of path that you want him, make sure you chop him off at the knees there. So if I didn't want him down here, I could complete that map. Didn't want him up here, I could complete that map as well. And that'll push him in the direction you do want him. So moving on, I think, I complete Arena here, and Elder does get quite aggressive. He goes down here. If you're trying to like kind of get it on Infested Valley, I'd probably recommend chopping this part off. However, just keep in mind you do need the Elder to be a certain size before the Elder and Shaper Guardian kind of nodes will spawn in. So unfortunately, you do have to kind of push it to a certain size, even though that will decrease the chances of you getting on the maps you want, but you do need to hit a certain threshold for them to be able to spawn in. So I'm going to keep expanding it out. I'm not sure if I cut this off or not. It looks like I don't, and I complete one of the maps up here. I think I complete Pier, and the Elder is going to keep getting quite aggressive and is going to take Courtyard as well. So as we can see, Elder's getting to about the size where the Elder and Shaper Guardians, the Elder Guardians spawn in, and I think it's actually one of the next slides. So here, I think I do Bazaar over here, which is going to expand him more, but Shaper comes in and takes Pier back. And then the next one, Shaper's getting quite aggressive here as well. I did Laboratory over here, which is going to push it down here. So ideally, I want to take these maps back from the Shaper and push Elder back up here as well. So we're just kind of going to scroll through here and see what I do. I do take Arena back here, and Elder's moving kind of in this direction. When it gets to this sort of size, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy by itself. Elder kind of gets pretty aggressive when it gets bigger, and he will continually take Shaper maps away until the Elder and the Elder Guardians spawn in. So once you get into a fairly decent size, you will kind of be able to do this a little bit more quickly, which is good. So this is the final kind of slide here, where my Guardians do spawn in. Unfortunately, it's completely random where they do spawn in. It can be on any of these maps. However, they do generally spawn together. So as you can see, all 5 of them spawned together down here, which is fine because it did hit next to the map I want. So generally, if the map you're trying to get the influence on is at the center, you will have a very good chance of getting the Guardians to either spawn on it or around it, which is kind of what you're after here. So as you can see here, Infested Valley is kind of at the center of all the action here. So even if they spawned up here or around here or down over there, you'd still be pretty good to go because remember, you only want it adjacent, so within a line's distance. And that's how you set up the kind of ping pong. There is one more thing that I want to go over with you guys, and that's what I like to call Elder Influence pruning. That's kind of just a weird term, but I made up. But it will make sense when I kind of go into it. So we'll jump back in game here, and I want to kind of explain to you a few things. So on the Atlas, from what it seems is there can only be a certain amount of Shaper influence currently kind of in play. I'm not entirely sure what that number is, but I've noticed that when I complete a map while having a large amount of Elder and Shaper influence on the kind of Atlas, it won't create that ping pong effect of going Elder, Shaper, Elder, Shaper, Elder, Shaper. And that's because the Shaper is already fighting the Elder on so many different fronts that he doesn't have the opportunity to jump in and kind of take control from the Elder in the location that you're trying to ping pong. So if this is happening to you and you're not getting that ping pong effect, what I would recommend to you is trying to take out as much Elder Influence as you can on the Atlas without completing the Guardians. So before I started mapping on Infested Valley here, what I would do is I would take out all this Elder Influence down here and all this Elder Influence up here. And the reason for that is if the Shaper doesn't have to fight the Elder up here, then he can focus on this smaller area where we're trying to get that ping pong effect and constantly jump in and out of there while you're doing the map. So you want the Shaper to kind of focus his attention on the map that you're doing as well as the Elder. So you kind of want to trap the map you have and want to run in between the Shaper and the Elder. So you want to have the Elder pushing from one side with either an Elder map or a Guardian map here, and then have the Shaper kind of trying to fight in down here onto the map that you're on. And that's how you kind of set it up and get that massive amount of loot. I will go over one more thing with you guys, and that is permanent Elder Influence. So the way you get this is basically by having an Elder Guardian land on the map that you want. So let's say that I didn't get an Elder Guardian on Arachnid Nest, but I got it on Infested Valley. So what that'll mean is there will always be Elder Influence on the map. And the reason for that is because if you do not kill the Elder Guardian and you zone out of the map and then spawn a new map, the game can't just delete that Elder Guardian from the map. It has to then allow you to redo the boss. So if you have an Elder Guardian on the map you want to run, and you continually run it without killing the boss, then you can kind of consistently have that Elder Influence on there permanently. However, I've never really done this because I like to have the ping pong effect of the Shaper and the Elder. I've heard a few rumors that you don't get loot from some of the Elder mobs if you do it this way. However, that's completely unconfirmed and I haven't tested it, so you're going to have to look into that one yourself. However, having said that, having the ping pong effect is 100% going to give you tons more currency, tons more map drops, and just a lot more wealth in general from what you're investing into the map. So that's kind of going to be my rundown of how to kind of push and pull the Elder around the Atlas and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you guys learned something a little bit about that and how I kind of do it. I kind of feel really in control when I'm trying to position the Elder and when I'm playing using these kind of techniques. They've always worked 100% of the time for me, and I'm hoping they will work for you as well. I've tried to be kind of as precise as I can, but if I've left anything out, make sure you leave a comment there, and maybe I can make a follow-up video, maybe with some more advanced concepts in there as well. If anything seems kind of really like too complicated or anything like that, I do have another video where I go over some more Elder and Shaper influence stuff. If you want to check that out on my channel, I'll try and link that in the description below. But failing that, yeah, just leave a comment there and I can make another video for you guys. Hopefully you guys have kind of cleared this up for you a little bit, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.